Hello everybody, I am the Linkzilla and welcome back to God of War. What could very well be the final episode of God of War. The original game, mind you, not the end of the year of God of War. And I think that we're moving along. We're a bit behind schedule, but hopefully we should be able to finish this out before the year is out. I'd like to apologize for the last video. I accidentally forgot to set the volume a bit lower, so basically speaking, like, I have a feeling that my game's audio kind of drowned out my dialogue most of the time, so sorry about that. Hopefully I'll be able to talk a lot more with this video, and hopefully once I get to where I'm going, it shouldn't take me all that long to actually win the fight, considering that I not only know what I'm doing, but have also been through this before rather recently. That was awesome. Let me see here. Nope. Oh. Forgot that I powered them up. Holy crap, they're both decapitation! Double decapitation! Right, where's the Gorgons? Hey, look at that. The statue is now missing a shield. Oh wait, it's on the ground, broken. Dang it, I didn't notice that the last time I was here. I was actually kind of hoping that maybe there could be like a God of War-like spin-off story that explains that some poor soul got caught in the middle of all this and tried to use the shield to defend themselves. Maybe he went on his own little adventure. My question is, should I decapitate her in order to get my magic back, or should I just kill her straight for the orbs? You know me, I'm a blood orb man. Considering that I've had to play through this game twice, it's so weird to finally be back here. Alright. I've got like no health left, so I can't afford to get hit. Ah, look at that. A bridge. Of course, why wouldn't there be? don't have 3,000 yet. Gotta do the slow dramatic walk, Morty. Son of a bitch! See what I told you about iconic imagery? The statue of Athena is now decapitated! And now we're back here. Time for a shower. In an ideal world, I would be at maximum power right now. But we don't live in an ideal world, do we? Water stopped flowing here. And this is the final save point. Now, basically speaking, a lot of you guys might not like it, but this is where the God mode ends. Because now, I'm going back to my original save file to beat it on that. Because that's the one that I started out on as, and that's the one that we're going to finish. 10 fucking days later. Man, I'm lazy. Hell, the only reason that I'm playing this right now is because, like, we had a big storm, and the internet, my Ethernet connection is out. Oh, and look at that, my Wi-Fi connection is out. How ironic, because I've literally been waiting half a year for a nice good rainstorm to come in and cool everything off, because it has just been so blazing hot this summer that every single time it rains, it only comes sporadically. You never have gray clouds overhead, you always have the sun poking through them, and now, basically, we finally get the storm, and it knocks out my internet. So, what are you gonna do? The Oracle.
Kratos, return, but too late. Ares has taken Athens. There is no more hope. No hope.
What she's saying is iconic. I like that she says that, because it's going to be important with God of War 3 later on.
Ares is victorious. We failed.
I kind of wish she stopped moving after the second dialogue box. It would be a bit more tragic that way. Big orb chest. Big orb's chest. Alrighty. I'm gonna have to try and conserve my magic for the first part of the fight, because your magic doesn't get fully restored like your health at the end of it. You gotta be careful, because I'm gonna need all the magic that I can get going into the second phase, which is the hardest part. You see, I told you it would be iconic imagery, and there's the path up to Suicide Bluffs, so now we're back
Kratos
to
had
where it all
traversed the
began.
desert of lost souls, bested the deadly traps of Pandora's temple, and escaped Hades itself. There was but one task left.
Zeus! Do you see now what your son can do?
Daddy
You
issues.
cast your favor on Athena, but her city lies in ruins before me. And now, even Pandora's box is mine! Would you have me use it against Olympus itself?
Kratos, returned even from the underworld.
Is this the best you can do, father? You send a broken mortal to defeat me, the god of war?
After thousands of years, Pandora's box was finally opened. The power of
Remember how I said that Kratos could only get more destructive if he were kaiju-sized? Well, there it is.
You are still just a mortal. Every bit as weak as the day you begged me to save your life.
I am not the same man you found that day. The monster you've created has returned to kill you.
You have no idea what a true monster is, Kratos.
It's incredible how expressive his eyes are. I noticed something like going through the game. There seemed to have been some kind of error where the voices kind of seem a bit off. But now, that seems to have corrected itself.
Join your family, Spartan! You cannot defeat me, Spartan! I will show you what real power is!
I love it. I love how, like, when you can see the bridge, when the camera looks down on the bridge, you can actually see people running for their lives.
Is that the best you can do?
Nope. You know, when I was a kid, I used to think he was using the Barbarian King's hammer. But we know that that's not true later on. Well, those people on the bridge got barbecued. Oh, he's gonna do it again. Sorry, people. Beg for your life, God of War.
Relent! You have already lost, Spartan! Why do you resist me, Spartan?
I really love this scene. It kind of looks like a smaller brother fighting his older brother.
Let the rage of the gods drive your blades,
I really hate that in-game model for Ares, though. I mean, not only are the spikes on his, like, claws not glowing, but his hair.
I have taught you many ways to kill a mortal, Kratos.
You know, I'm just now realizing something.
Bones that break. But to break a man's spirit is to truly destroy him. Do you recognize this place, Spartan? The location of your greatest failure? Perhaps there is a chance you can undo the deeds of the past.
The nightmares that had haunted Kratos for the past 10 years had now taken form and substance. His past stood before him.
Could it be changed? This was truly like a clever move by Ares.
Kratos! What's happening? Where are we?
Because now...
By the gods, can this be real?
Kratos has to face the one person he hates the most. Himself. I kind of wish that they didn't have the pale skin, though. It would have been more effective if this was Kratos before that.
Ares! There is nothing you can put in my way to stop me! I will save my family!
And as I've mentioned time before, if I were directing a God of War movie, I'd change it to where instead of like an army of evil Kratoses, there was only one evil Kratos. And basically it would be a one-on-one fight, make it a bit more personal. So glad that I'm here at full power. Using magic is a bit of a trade-off, because it ultimately frees you up to where you can hug your family, but by the time you're done hugging them, they're already back down to like to where they were before you helped them. The only way to actually properly do it is with Army of Hades, but Army of Hades uses too much magic. Best way is to send your opponents flying. Probably going to die several times here. Can't pull Rage of the Gods just yet. Oh, don't fall. I guarantee that I'm going to fall at least a few times, and that's going to be what kills me. Oh.
I couldn't stop them. They were too strong.
At least I get to see the unique animation, one of two for this franchise that I'm aware of. The first time you see it, you can't skip it, so... I think that, like, the best trick is to, like, attack them before they can attack your family. That way they'll turn their attention on you. I mean, they're tough, but better that they be on you instead of your wife and daughter. I always like doing that when the temple falls apart, because it makes me feel like I'm blowing the walls away. See? I fell. Well, at least I didn't have to watch that animation again. Not my family, you bastards! The music again. Sick 'em, boys! The only thing that is slightly unfair about all this is the fact that, like, when some of them spawn in, they spawn in, like, standing up. When others spawn in, they have to, like, crawl out of the ground. So I much prefer that because, like, it gives you a few precious seconds to attack them. Oh no! Alright, let's do it! Dang it. Alright, I think they're coming out with... Nope, they're not coming out with blades. That one fell off the edge. Up, they're starting with the blades of Artemis. If I can just keep up this pace. No, you don't! Not my daughter, you bitch! No!
Couldn't stop it.
As soon as one goes down, one immediately replaces it. So this is the Hydra. Holy shit, I think I just realized that this is actually like a pretty clever moment on the game developers, because like the Hydra is said to be like a metaphor for man's vices, about how whenever men try to better themselves, another vice, like two vices, immediately like take their place. So although like if you guys want to like hear about like the other thing that I noticed when it came to Ares is that he's the most hated of all the gods. He has bright, fiery, orange-red hair. Wait, orange hair. And he's got pale skin. Oh my god, the game developers. I cannot believe that, like, after 13 years I'd never noticed that. Mainly because I didn't find out about it until, like, I watched South Park. Honestly, I don't really care all that much. Got a few of them that jump off the cliff.
You don't!
I gotta try to hold them off until the ones with the blades of Artemis show up. If I can just get them to stop jumping on me. Holy crap, I think I did it. Because I think that only one or two can spawn at a time now. Not them! Fight me! No! Don't you dare fall!
Kratos
I did it!
He had saved his family.
And this part is going to get a bit painful.
Please, take us home!
Do you see, God of War? You took them once, but you'll never have them again!
You cannot save them, Kratos.
It's just
You gave them up
illusion.
in your quest for ultimate power. There is a price to pay for everything you gain.
Not that price. I didn't want them to die.
No price is too high for what I offered. You rejected me.
He rips them from his arms.
You will have
Blades of
no
chaos are
power,
gone.
no magic. All that is left for you is death.
Ares knew he had to do it with his own blades.
Not again.
Should have joined me, Kratos. You should have been stronger.
By the gods.
Bridge.
The battle was not over. The gods, it seemed, had a final gift for Kratos.
Let's see if I can get through this one.
I still have allies in Olympus, Ares. Now, you will see how strong I am.
Holy, they're still here. I never knew that was even possible. I like this boss fight. It's really, I think that it's dripping with a whole lot of imagery. Because, like, our health bars are now linked to one. And so, I actually think that that's kind of like contextually relevant. No, 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 no! I think that that's basically kind of like the game saying that, like, as one fades, the other rises. That really it's not necessarily a battle between Kratos and Ares anymore. As Ares' life fades away, as Ares' godhood fades away, Kratos' now basically comes to light, because this battle is one that determines who will survive as the god of war. Where you going, Ares? If I could just do this twice in a row without him running like a pansy.
Now you will be truly tested.
That move is so broken. Because you can't block it and you can just barely dodge it.
Goodbye, Spartan.
And he's gonna do it.
You test my patience, Spartan!
I love that line. You test my patience, Spartan. Unfortunately, this seems to be like the only way of beating him, because every single time you think you're gonna have the advantage, he always manages to bullshit his way into... This is the end, Ares! See? That was almost too easy.
It was I who saved you in your time of greatest need.
I haven't forgotten, Ares. I remember how you saved me.
That night, I was trying to make you a great warrior.
You succeeded.
Damn. I feel like everybody in the world, or at least all the survivors here in Athens, should stop and see what's happening right now. They should see, like, into the dawning light, the Spartan that was battling against a god who just won.
Kratos had done the impossible. A mortal defeating a god. Ares was no more.
Oh, now they're all dead. Ares' death comes with a nuclear explosion, apparently. A thermonuclear one at that. Well, congratulations, Kratos. You just single-handedly caused temporary world peace.
The city had been saved, and would thrive again. The same could not be said for Kratos, for as he sought to rebuild his soul with the help of the gods, the truth was revealed to him.
Athena, rid me of the memories that haunt me still.
You have done well, Kratos. Though we mourn the death of our brother, the gods are indebted to you. We promised your sins would be forgiven, and so they are. But we never promised to take away your nightmares. No man, no god could ever forget the terrible deeds you have done.
And the worst part about it is, forgiveness is worthless.
Knowing the visions
in
of
this
his past
situation.
would never leave him. Kratos made his way to the bluffs overlooking the Aegean Sea.
And this is where we came in.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me.
Now there is no hope.
Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness. The fate of Kratos was not as it seemed. The gods had other plans. Borne aloft like a feather, Kratos found himself risen from the sea and placed on solid earth.
You will not die this day, Kratos. The gods cannot allow one who has performed such service to perish by his own hand. Ares' tactics were brutal. His path of destruction had to be stopped. But now there is an empty throne in Olympus, and a new god of war is needed. Take these stairs, Kratos. They lead to your ultimate reward.
And 13 years ago, my jaw dropped. Athena's blades. Okay, so what did I mean by in this situation, forgiveness is worthless? Ooh, I like the golden color. Well, the simple fact is, the only reason why Kratos would need the gods to forgive him is so that when he eventually does die, he can pass to the fields of Elysium instead of the plains of Asphodel, or worse, the pits of Tartarus, so that he could potentially be with his family again. However, because he killed Persephone in the last game, Hades is pissed off at him. He's never going to let him go to the blissful and peaceful afterlife. He wants to make Kratos' existence a living hell at this point. Literally. So basically speaking, the real reason why they saved Kratos is because they literally don't know what to do with him at this point. Literally speaking, he can't die because Hades doesn't want him to pass to the Elysium Fields, and they basically, like, can't rid him of his nightmares because that's basically like, well, I don't know, could they? Could they do that? I mean, I think that Morpheus in this game is actually a pretty bad dude, so could he basically choose to not give Kratos good, pleasant dreams from here on? I don't know. But the thing about it is that, like, we're meant to assume at this point that this is the gods being incredibly generous when really they're not being generous at all. This is basically just the only thing that they can think of to actually, like, do with Kratos. Now, personally, if I were the one who was, like, directing a God of War movie, I'd make it so that Kratos ultimately had to become the God of War in order to keep things in balance. I really love that. I really love that down there. Because basically speaking, I don't think that Ares as a god actually causes war. I think that it's actually more along the lines of, what is this thing? Is it a plant? It seems kind of solid. Anyway, I think it's more along the lines of, like, the gods don't cause these natural causes. They just keep them restrained. They hold them within their power. And the gods, basically, like, Ares being the god of war, sure, he feeds off war and he enjoys war, but I think he actually keeps war to a leash, kind of. He's the master of war. So I would direct it in a God of War movie that with Ares' death, the world is temporarily sent into a blissful state until you realize that the one who was meant to keep war in check has now been killed, and the dogs of war have been unleashed. Because, like, Ares, like, one of his animal symbols is, like, dogs and whatnot, so I'd imagine that there would be some kind of ethereal dogs that could basically, like, rampage across the world, that could potentially destroy mankind with endless war and suffering, unless a master came to unleash them again. So that's why they needed Kratos, and that's why they made him the god of war. I really do love looking down on that scene. While your demons still haunt you, the gods have decreed you will not die this day. Below, you see the bloodied sword used to kill Ares, the god of war. And I like how it's stabbed into the ground and no longer serves as a bridge. A reminder of what happened here this day. A mortal killing a god. I really do wonder, though, like, according to Greek mythology, the gods of Olympus don't bleed red. They bleed a golden-colored substance known as ichor. But then, I don't think that it would look right if, like, if Ares bled in this game and it came out looking gold. It just wouldn't, so. And it definitely wouldn't look right in God of War 3, I guarantee you that.
Your battles are at an end, Kratos. Your journey is over. Take these steps to Olympus, and your place among the gods.
And I think the ultimate point of, like, this series is that these beings who fancy themselves as gods, the Olympians, the Titans, the ones who put themselves so far above everyone else, they're actually not anything special. They're not anything heavenly or anything to actually be perfect, to be put above mortals, because they're born, they have lifespans that last a seriously long time, and they can be killed. The only thing that sets them apart is that they're bigger and powerful, more powerful than mortals. And that's ultimately, like, what this franchise is all about. It's about deconstructing the myth that the gods have built around themselves, that they are perfect, that they are immortal, that they are invincible, and showing them for the weaknesses that they truly have and how they really are just pompous, over-bloated, egotistical jerks. They're bullies. And Kratos, like, brings them down.
Take these stairs, Kratos. They lead to your ultimate reward.
Mount Olympus. And in this depiction, it's basically heaven, with streets and staircases made of gold. And I like that the blades of Athena are gold. I like to personally think that they're not completely new blades, they're just like the blades of chaos that Athena has blessed with her good magic now that Ares is gone. Because, literally speaking, like, the blades of Athena are gonna get replaced, like, in God of War 3, and yet, spoiler alert, I got this spoiled for me, the blades of chaos make a return appearance in the new God of War game. So I like to think that they're all just the blades of chaos, just changed a little bit. Especially because, considering in the third game, you would think that chaos would be a bit more, warranted. So anyway. Blades of chaos, what was I talking about? Blades of exile. I really do like that idea a bit more, so what was I going to say? I had a thought there before I lost it. Blades, Chaos, Athena, new God of War game. Basically, this is the final chapter of the Blades of Chaos section of the God of War franchise, which I deem as Phase 1. We're now entering the Blades of Athena section, which is Phase 2, so. I I love it. You can see in the distance, there are 3 statues surrounding the throne of the God of War that depict the 3 boss fights that you had in this game. I kind of wish that Medusa's head was on display somewhere. Okay, not gonna save it, because you never friggin' save after the final boss fight. You went through all that trouble to get to the boss fight. You kind of want to experience the boss fight as much as possible. That way you don't have to go throughout the entire game again. As you can see, there's Pandora's Minotaur. There's the Hydra behind the throne. I really love that. I didn't notice it the first time I was in here. And there's Ares. You gaze upon the bones of your defeated foe. You are finally free of your servitude to this insane war god. Well, you've been free ever since you killed the Furies. It's just that you're not free of your obsession with him. Okay, so, like, these 2 statues are important because, like, the game programmers designed there to be an Easter egg. Basically, you can pretty much, like, attack these statues and, like, basically, like, attack them. And they take a lot of hits, but they can actually be destroyed. It's just that you gotta be really persistent in attacking them. It could take you, like, half an hour or maybe even a full hour. And once you finally destroy them, you're basically given a series of numbers which you're supposed to decode, and it ends up being a secret recorded message that you can play in order to basically, like, have a secret recorded conversation, to hear a recorded phone call conversation with Kratos and game director Dave Jaffe. It's pretty damn funny, and I've actually had that number saved on my phone since 2005, and I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but it still works. It still works to this very day. It's so funny. Anyways, that's the end of God of War, the first one at least. And now, Kratos goes to claim what's his. This is the throne of the God of War. Take your rightful place upon it. I really do imagine that on some level they intended for this to basically be like how it is, but they do have sequels in mind, so I really like that Kratos just kind of slumps upon it, because he doesn't really know what to do with himself now.
And from that point forward, throughout the rest of time, whenever men rode forth to battle for good cause or for evil, they did so under the watchful eye of the man who had defeated a god. They were driven forward by Kratos, the mortal who had become the new God of War.
I really like that. Congratulations, you have conquered God of War. Now try God. I've already gotten to the precipice. You have completed God of War. Treasures of Olympus have been unlocked. God mode has been unlocked. Would you like to save your progress? Yes. Because this doesn't overwrite my save data. I really do like that. And the thing that I have in mind about it is that, like, I really do think that, like, regardless of what happens in the future games, with Kratos, like, becoming nerfed, becoming depowered, and losing his godlike abilities, regardless of him not being the God of War anymore, throughout God of War 2 and God of War 3, and in the new God of War game, I really do think that it is, as Gaia said, that in some level, some way, shape, or form, Kratos is still invincible, and that he's going to live throughout the rest of time, because Kratos is so powerful, he can't even kill himself. And that basically just goes to show that, like, that's what's so surprising about the new God of War game. It's something that we've all wanted to see for, like, so many years, and they finally got to it, the point where Kratos basically tries to end himself at the end of God of War 3, and yet he survives. How is it that he can possibly survive that? So, I really do think that regardless of him having the godly title or not, he is still the one true God of War, and he's going to be looking out for warriors and soldiers who march into battle throughout the rest of the franchise, no matter what, he'll always be looking out for them because he is the God of War. And that's basically what I choose to believe, and I really do like that theory. Kratos. Such an epic character, such a great story to go along with such a masterpiece of a game. And so many people, so few people, the laymen, they don't understand Kratos in the slightest. They think that he's nothing more than Hercules if he was edgy. Well, like I said before, I really don't like it when people use the term edgy because they're using it incorrectly. And another thing is that, like, there's so much more to Kratos than that. Yes, he is meant to be a much darker and much more aggressive version of Hercules because they basically have the same story when you think about it. Like, Kratos was overcome with madness, he slaughtered his own family in cold blood, and then he basically tries to redeem himself by serving the gods, undergoing a series of labors in order to basically, like, redeem himself. The stories are similar, but the devil is in the details, really, because Hercules was always, like, a cursed soul because of Hera, and he inadvertently ends up serving Hera's will by going to his cousin, who is the king of Thebes, or is it? I can't really remember the guy's name. He's not really all that important enough to me to remember, so you can see Kratos' silhouette there. Anyway, Kratos, on the other hand, was someone who chose to go down the path of destruction and power, and eventually he lost himself to it. So now, instead of basically undergoing labors, he goes 10 years of service to the gods to try and recover who he was as a person. But unfortunately, yeah, that's damn right, Kratos will return. But unfortunately, the gods don't help rebuild himself as who he was before this. They instead just... The gods make a whole lot of mistakes, I should say. So, instead of basically helping recover Kratos who he was as a man, they only seek to further, like, bury him within this monster that he has become, because the gods don't really know any better. So, character graveyard, challenge of the gods. I'm basically definitely going to be doing the challenge of the gods, but I want it to be like a Patreon, a reward kind of thing. So, you guys want to see me do challenge of the gods, like, hit me up on Patreon or Fiverr, alright? The Fate of the Titans. Still have to beat God mode to unlock the rest of the costumes, but I really want to end this thing out with something special, I should think. A coward turns away, but a brave man's choice is danger.
One dying wish from a desperate warrior allowed him to survive, but brought him a lifetime of despair.
By the gods, what have I become?
Now, the only way to right the wrongs of his past is to master the powers granted him by the gods of Olympus. Medusa's gaze.
You don't have it at that point.
Army of Hades.
Definitely don't have it at that point.
Poseidon's rage. Blade of Artemis. The epic adventure of conquest. Destiny. And revenge. God of War.
That trailer really does go to show that there always was something deeper about Kratos. That he wasn't just this mindless monster always. I feel like the God of War sequels actually detrimented Kratos, because I mean, And now here we are, 13 years later, with a developer saying, how can we reinvent God of War and make it deeper and actually tell a good story? You guys had the perfect starting point after this game, but you guys screwed it up.
And a deceptive god are no match for the fury of one vengeful warrior. God of War.
I really like how the siren song is like singing over the trailers. But yeah, I really do think that, like, God of War could have been a whole lot deeper than it ended up being, and we could have gotten the level of characterization that we get in the new God of War game years ago. But the problem is that the guy who took over for God of War 2, he changed everything by basically, like, wanting to go to the end, wanting Kratos to basically fight against the other Greek gods. And I mean, I totally see that. I totally see that happening, but even he himself admits that Kratos is like... Wait, even he himself admits that he screwed up God of War by doing this, so... Anyway, let's get some spoilers as for what's going to come up in God of War, in the future of God of War, and certain parts that I find contention with, particularly with what happens in the events of Ghost of Sparta. Because this gets recycled for that game.
When men ask for the origin of Kratos, the true tale was never known. The truth is that Kratos, like all men, began life as a child. But childhood in ancient Sparta was a brutal existence. Children deemed fit and strong were trained to be warriors, the protectors of Sparta. The weaker children were caged, sent to the mountains to fend for themselves. They were not expected to survive. And while Kratos escaped the fate of the weaker children, his brother was not so lucky. The two, once inseparable, were now alone. Kratos would become legend, but the story of his brother has gone untold. A child left in the mountains, he had died years before. Coming of age in the underworld, he had but one desire: revenge against the brother who deserted him all those years ago.
I wonder if this is supposed to be kind of like a setup for Kratos' brother possibly becoming Satan. Because I really do think that the ultimate goal of the God of War franchise is to destroy all the other pantheons of every other religion. That's basically what I would pay for. There's one certain religion that I want to see Kratos leave in ruins. Anyways, that was basically like one of the things that basically will end up being recycled for God of War Ghost of Sparta. But this one is a greater point of contention because this also has things that get recycled for Ghost of Sparta and other things that somewhat get ruined, I should think, with later God of War games. Because you gotta keep in mind, this was revealed to us when we first played God of War back in 2005, and then when God of War 2 came out,
Kratos had accomplished more than he'd ever dreamed possible. But he did not sit easily on his new throne. There was a secret in his past even he did not know. A secret he burned to uncover. Born out of wedlock, Kratos was the bastard child of a shunned woman. There were rumors as to who the father was. Rumors that grew more and more preposterous. Until the woman finally left her small village. She swore a new life in Sparta. Kratos would never know the truth. Never know who his father really was. But now, As a man, Kratos returned to Sparta, determined to find his mother and discover the truth. Kratos' mother was not long for this world. Before she passed, Kratos demanded she tell him the truth. His mother knew the price she would pay if she revealed the name of Kratos' father. But it was time, at last, for her son to know who he was. No word need be spoken to bring about the prophecy of the curse. She was transformed into a merciless beast, one which would destroy even her own son. Putting aside the last remnants of affection for his mother, Kratos destroyed the beast she had become. With her last breath, she spoke the name of his father. For Kratos was no mere mortal. He was the son of a god. He was the son of Zeus, the father of Olympus. And with that knowledge came the certainty that one day soon, he would take his revenge against the father, against the god who had abandoned him all those years ago.
And that is basically the biggest point of contention, because we basically had seen this after defeating the game. We were basically like, I'd say that some of us were fairly surprised, some of us probably not so much. The idea that Zeus is Kratos' father suddenly made a whole lot more sense. It explained Kratos' otherworldly strength and determination, and it explained why Zeus was willing to go to such great lengths to help Kratos, to dig that grave to get him out of the underworld. Why he's not the only god, why Athena isn't the only god who's looking out for him. I honestly thought that it was going to be like Kratos was going to confront Zeus all angry and whatnot, only for Zeus to reveal that he has been looking out for him all his life. And then God of War 2 happened, with Zeus casually calling Kratos his son, and yet we don't find out that that's confirmed until the end of the game, despite the fact that Kratos is already supposed to have known, because officially Kratos doesn't have that meeting with his mother until Ghost of Sparta, and instead of revealing the name of Zeus's father, she just reveals that his brother is actually still alive. Spoiler alert. It all just gets kind of screwed up, you know what I'm saying? And of course, that gravedigger is going to come back, and it's going to be another point of contention with me. But anyways, that is that. That is the original God of War, and that is all the time that we have for this video. If you liked it, please leave a comment on the comment section below. Be sure to like and share it with your friends. You want to keep up to date on more of the year of God of War coming your way in the future, with God of War Ghost of Sparta coming to you in October, then just smash that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Farewell.